Today we're prepping our vegetable garden for our warm season vegetables that will soon be going in the ground. And one thing that you can do in preparation before you start planting those tomatoes is go ahead and build a tomato cage. Now often you'll see those little 3-foot metal cages that we pretty much know that your tomatoes will quickly grow out of those. So go ahead and build something that's going to be sturdy and really hold up to those sizable plants, especially if they're indeterminate tomatoes and some of the larger varieties. What we've done today is we've built a bamboo cage. You can easily find 6 to 8 foot bamboo poles that allow you to really go into the ground to give you plenty of strength. You can see we've got a good amount of wind blowing out here today, and even I built this to last. So I'm not a Boy Scout, I don't know how to tie all those special knots, but a simple slip knot around one end of the bamboo will give you plenty of rope then to tie around and make this cage. So the first thing I took into account was the spacing of my bed here. And so I really wanted to be able to plant the tomatoes on one side of this bed. This bed is about 5 feet wide. So we're going to spend about 2.5 feet for this tomato cage. So you can see here we've used one length of that pole to go along the distance of that bed. So go ahead and lay out one pole so you know exactly where to put your corner pieces. Also, when you're cutting your end pieces, a skill saw works really nice to give you a good smooth cut. But if you don't have a skill saw or a circular saw, you can also just use a hand saw to make that cut. Bamboo cuts pretty easily without too much effort there. A small heavy mallet will really work well to drive these bamboo stakes into the ground. Now if you do find that you're hitting some harder soil, you might use a piece of rebarb or something to kind of pre-drill that hole a little bit. But this bamboo really holds up well to being hammered on. It's pretty sturdy. You can see it's flexible in the wind that we have out here, but it's going to hold our tomatoes really well. Now what we used was just a simple twine, and what I found is the distance of about a yard, which if you go from the stretched out arm to your nose, you can see that that's about a yard. Works really well to wrap around your bamboo. And if you also, if you are working near a node, you want to make sure to kind of go on the upper side of that node so that it helps stabilize that knot so it doesn't slip down the bamboo, because there's a bit of a swollen area on that. I kind of like to leave a little tail on that slip knot because those come in handy to tie it and fasten it even more later on. Now if you don't want to use some sort of twine, which I like because it looks natural, you can also use, I mean there's a synthetic twine, and then there's always the good old zip ties that work really well also. A lot of times you can see people have made their own tomato cages out of some hog wire or something like that, and you can see these work pretty well. A lot of times you'll still need to put a T-post in the ground to stabilize them, and you can see again, while they have some more height to them than those ones you might purchase, our bamboo are still significantly taller, giving you a little bit more volume and support for your tomatoes as they grow. The other thing that's really nice about the bamboo versus one of these cages is once you've built these, you've got these to store, and they're kind of awkward, they're bulky, and you're going to need to take up a lot of room during your winter months to store these. This bamboo, you can use it from season to season. All you're going to do is need to untie this, cut the string or the zip tie, whichever you prefer, cut that, and take these bamboo sticks apart, and then you'll just have a smaller pile of sticks to store through the winter months. So we're going to be planting some tomatoes in here pretty soon, and depending on which variety of tomato you want to use, we're looking at this spacing and probably going to be able to plant 3 or 4 tomato plants. And as they continue to grow up, we're going to use this simple stretchy tape to sort of tie them in here and give them some support. Now the important reason why we want to trellis our tomatoes is it allows that vegetation to be up off the ground, which will help with better airflow and prevent diseases from getting in there and funguses from getting in there, and also more importantly allow us to harvest the bounty better. Now what we've got built here is just 4 corners with 3 levels to it. I think this is really going to work for us, but if we find later on that we need to add a little bit more support, there's no reason that we can't come back in and add another midpoint in here to give it a little more structural integrity. You can also add some more end pieces if you want to do that as well. It's really up to you and what you're wanting to grow and your particular environment that you're trying to grow in.
Hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.